Hey, Steve Saretsky here. As always, there's a couple blog posts that go with this, so you can see those in the description below. But basically, I want to touch on the Vancouver condo market. Obviously, this is the area that I work in primarily, obviously living downtown and whatnot. So I just wanted to touch on the market, sort of what it's doing, what I'm seeing, a few things, a little bit of concern, obviously, on my side. Basically the Vancouver condo market, talked about this before, it is hitting all-time high prices right now. So despite maybe the cool down, despite what various reports and stuff that you might be hearing, the Vancouver condo market is 100% setting new highs right now. Basically, it's stemming from a drop in inventory. The demand is not quite what it was a year ago, but the new listings dropped 24% year over year in March. So that's comparing March 2017 versus March 2016. Inventory is down 18% year over year. It's basically at all-time record low levels. So basically, if you thought we had low inventory a year ago, think about it's even lower today. So basically what's happening is nobody is selling. I can't really put a finger to it as to why nobody is selling, but obviously a couple of reasons is, if you sell and you're trying to buy a different condo somewhere else, you're likely in multiple offers there. So it's not a fun time to buy. If you're trying to upsize to a detached house, obviously the spread there is still pretty wide. Selling a $600,000 or $700,000 condo and jumping into a $1.4 million house, it's still a stretch. There's really not a whole lot of places to go, and unless you're selling and moving or selling and renting, people are very nervous in terms of putting on their homes. They think that basically if you sell your condo and you sort of hold it out and wait, it's like maybe you get priced out forever. You might be selling at a great price, that sort of thing. Obviously, I've put my thoughts on that prices cannot go up forever. Obviously, the trend is always up, but we are always due for corrections, and I think that the Vancouver real estate market is definitely overdue. But when and how long what happens with that correction is anyone's guess. So I don't like to put my finger on it. But basically, again, what we're seeing right now is the median days on average, median days on market is 10 days for the Vancouver West condos. So basically, a listing comes on Monday, has the open houses on the weekend, and then it takes offers, Monday or Tuesday, that sort of thing. So it's basically like a week-long process. What's really popping is the one bedrooms. 38% of all Vancouver condos, so not just one bedrooms, but two bedrooms, that sort of thing. 38% of Vancouver condos sold over asking price in March. That's up from about, I think, 32% in February and 25% in January. So the trend is certainly up, and that's basically just because we're heading into the spring market and we're seeing more and more buyers jumping in as a seasonal thing. But the seasonal uptrend in new listings hasn't really been there. There hasn't really been that surge of new listings, and again, it's primarily from people just holding off, which is strange because obviously we're setting peak high prices, and it's the sales to active ratio is, I think it's at 68% in March. There really has never been a better time to sell. There might never be a better time to sell. Obviously, we don't know where the market's going, but anytime you have a sales to active ratio at 68%, now is the time to sell. This is not a buyer's market. This is a full-on hot seller's market. So it's quite fascinating to see that, right? Because it's like, you sell in a seller's market and you buy in a buyer's market, but we tend to see the opposite happen. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of buyers now and not a lot of sellers. So, and it's sort of the inverse when prices reverse, is you start to get a flood of new listings when they should be holding. Is they rush, they panic to sell, and then nobody's buying when prices are coming down. So again, always kind of the inverse. Very fascinating to watch human behavior, but obviously a little bit of cause for concern. Just to give you an example, last week in terms of how hot this market is and really how out of control it is, in my opinion. I was involved in a multiple offer last week in the Fairview area. It was a one bedroom priced at $599, so obviously an attractive price point, but the building did not allow rentals, it did not allow pets, 30-year-old building. Got my clients to make a subject-free offer. I think paid $73,000 over asking price. I thought for sure these people were going to get it. Anyways, 7 offers later, that we're competing with ended up selling $150,000 over asking price. So we got absolutely smoked, and I think we were about in the middle of the pack in terms of price point. But basically, it set a new record in the building. It was close to $1,000 a foot, and this is, again, for a 30-year-old building with no rentals allowed, no pets allowed. The price was extremely hard to justify, but this is what happens in multiple offers. People get competitive. You're going in blind, and it just pushes prices up. And at any time, obviously, when you get that price point, so now the next door neighbor, when he goes to sell, or someone else on the same floor goes to sell, they're going to be looking at that price. They're going to be looking and saying, well, this guy paid $150,000 over ask. This is the price that he got. This is the price that I now expect. And that's what buyers, when they go in, they're going to be looking at the most recent comparable sales, and that's the one that's going to come up. And so that basically sets the new benchmark in a specific building, in a specific area. And so this is what we're seeing right now, again, with 38% of condos in Vancouver West selling above asking price, aka multiple offers. It really starts to push prices up. So in the short term, it looks like Vancouver condo prices, it doesn't look like, I know they're going up. The inventory is simply too low. People are not selling unless there's some sort of change in psychology, whether that's the provincial election coming up, or there's some sort of credit or liquidity crisis, or something's got to give. In the short term, there does not look like be any change in the Vancouver condo market. Unbelievable time to sell if you're thinking about it. In terms of buyers, it's extremely competitive out there. Basically, any one-bedroom, two-bedroom condo, mostly one-bedrooms, but two-bedroom condos are extremely hot as well. Basically, any condo you're going to look at, you're going to be competing in a multiple offer. You can almost expect that with a certainty. So that's sort of my Vancouver condo update. Hope that helped. I'm going to be posting the April numbers probably the next couple weeks. I don't expect those to be any different than March. I think maybe we'll see what happens in May with the provincial election, but it looks only up from here for the Vancouver condo market. Despite sort of what the detached market might be doing, or the towns, etc., the condos are red hot, and that does not look to be any change there in the near future. But again, long term, as I say, some of these prices are very hard to justify. They are definitely a little concerning. Downtown Vancouver, you're looking at minimum $1,000 a foot. Yaletown, you get up to $1150 a foot. So, that's, I guess, this is the new expectation. So anyways, hope that helped, and we'll talk to you soon.